Okay, so nobody's getting the truth from the mainstream media, folks. It's well past time to open your eyes, your ears, and your mind. Do your own research because something isn't right here. And if you can't see that, you are not paying attention, folks.
It's the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations.
So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. Now that's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
The important message that we need Australians to get vaccinated as quickly as possible. In line with that, I do encourage all Australians to please go and book your vaccinations as soon as you can if you haven't already done so.
Emma, get away!
When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Okay, we need to stand up against this tyranny, folks. Stop giving away your freedoms and liberties, because the more you give up, the more these people will take until you have absolutely nothing left. That's their agenda. All right, good evening once again, people. How are we? We've got a guest on the show tonight to tell us more about what's going on in the Viper's Nest down there at Canberra. So Wade's back on tonight. He's just in the background finishing a bit of chow, like good farmers do this time of the night. So, yeah, I'll just run through a couple of things, guys, and then we'll get Kazza and Wade when he's finished in, and we'll get going.
Sorry to cut in, guys. This hobbled me from sharing again. Can you please share it out for me? Thank you.
Mate, I tell you, no wonder, like, I must hang around the wrong people. Anyway, certainly don't hang around the wrong people. Hang around you good people. That's good enough for me. More than enough. Okay, so what do we got going on out there, guys? We got the South Australia First Nation group push for a bigger role in monitoring the algae outbreak. Now, we all know what the algae outbreak is, right? It's the chemicals coming out of the desalination plants that they have down there in South Australia. So, again, guys, they're just, playing patsy around, you know what I mean? Doing what they, think they ought to be doing. And I can't believe this. All right. Although it's come out from Yahoo. So, it's just general, but an urgent reminder after a sad discovery in Aussie car park highlights a common issue. What do you think it might be, guys? You think we got people sleeping in tents in car parks and they're, sad about that discovery? No. A bird egg. A bird egg in a driveway. And my comparison is, what about all the people in the parks? What about all the people that are sleeping in driveways? What about all, but nah. Here we are, front page news. Urgent reminder, sad discovery. Like, really? A plover's laid an egg. Unreal.
And the bikes again.
Yeah, it is the bikes again, yeah. All right, so they're saying now that they've got major reforms for New South Wales planning system aimed to curb the maze of current processes. Well, Minzy, I don't believe you, all right, and it'll be more bullshit to wrap us up a little bit tighter, and, yeah, you just like have no idea. Sorry. Climate talk has spooked the coalition into silence. Now, I had this down in my diary here, guys. Yeah, Leahy. Wouldn't you think if you're the Liberal Party, and these people have got to know what they're doing, all right? They got to understand that, all this fucking energy bullshit is crap. They're only doing it because they've signed their soul away or they're getting paid to do it. Obviously, they can't be that stupid to know that everything's falling apart, but they're continuing to go forward. But where are they now? Wouldn't this be a great time for the Liberal Party to actually stand up and, back the majority of the Australian people who could probably, probably 40% of us would know that this is all bullshit. The other 60 probably wouldn't take too much convincing with a few facts. So I think the Liberal Party, again, they don't want to know. And this just proves it, guys, that they're two wings of the same bird. Simple. And a con man posing as police officers in the Parapunka shooting scam. I haven't looked into that yet, guys, but I just thought that was interesting. A con man allegedly posing as a police officer. I mean, these guys have got more shifty shit going on than what we actually know about. But come in whenever you're right, Kaz, or if now in Sydney we've had a big power outage, guys, 50,000 homes, right? But Integral Energy had no idea what the problem. But listen to this, Wade. They had no idea what the problem was. They still don't. But guess what? How the fuck did they fix it? If they didn't know what it was, how did they turn the power back on? Like they think, and this is how dumb. Well, sorry, but yeah, I shouldn't say that. This is how dumb they think the Australian people are. That they're going to sit there and go, "Oh yeah, okay. Well, you didn't know what happened. Oh shit, that's not. You had to know what happened, or you couldn't have fixed it. You friggin' lying bastards." Anyway, how are you, Wade?
G'day there. How you going, Dave? How you going, Caz? How you going? Yep, we're on.
Yep.
Okay, so
yeah,
she disappeared, and a big day to you too, Mel. So, okay, good to be back again, mate. There's a hell of a lot's been happening. It's exploding everywhere. All this stuff, all from the marches in Melbourne and Sydney and Brisbane and across Australia there last weekend. I was speaking at one of the rallies in Melbourne on Saturday, and then on Sunday we attended. There was a big Country Fire Authority and farmers protest rally in Bendigo, in central Victoria. So things are really, really hotting up. People are mobilising around the world, and so I think it's good to see that people are actually coming on board and getting with the program. Because I saw some people in Melbourne the other day on Saturday that up until now they've said, and I know they come from Echuca and different areas here, and over the time they've said, "Oh, Wade, you're a crackpot. I don't believe any of this stuff. It's all crap. Blah blah blah." Well, guess what? You're starting to see rank and file, ordinary working men and women who are just now starting to go, "Hell, this is bad. We're going to." Start taking part in these protest marches, and I think that's absolutely brilliant.
No, it is, mate. It is.
Well,
come in, Kaz.
Yeah, it is. Now, Wade, you've been over in Canberra. There's something that I'm very curious about, because we know that Albo's in PNG. Now, I'm very curious about this because, so this is the Mutual Defence Treaty. Are you familiar with this at all?
So not 100%, but I believe it's something that the Australian government's organised with PNG, if that's correct.
Yeah, that's right. So Mutual Defence Alliance, which recognises that an armed attack on Australia or Papua New Guinea would be a danger to the peace and security of both countries. Expansion and modernisation of the Defence Force relationship, strengthening and expanding defence cooperation, ensuring any activities, agreements or arrangements with third parties would not compromise the ability of either of the parties to implement the treaty, and reaffirming both countries' absolute respect for our neighbours' sovereignty, independence and territorial integrity.
Okay.
Why? Yeah. Anyway, go. Wait. Yeah.
Yeah, so I wasn't aware that was coming or being negotiated. However, I think that we've we've probably got a lot bigger fish to fry. And I know that, in World War II, Papua New Guinea really suffered a lot, and they were amazing to Australia as we were to them.
Wade, it's still going on up there. It's, in Irian Jaya on the other side, where it's split in half, Papua New Guinea, what's going on the other side, mate, is just horrific. You know what I mean? It's incredible. And it's been going on for a long time, but here we are up muddling, giving them $660 million for a rugby team, mate, just a rugby team. Are you joking?
Well, it seems like our government, the criminals and crooks that they are, find every excuse to throw massive amounts of money around to everybody else but the genuine Aussie people. I mean, a big part of the issues that's been going on recently, of course, is with all the immigration system, the immigration side of it. Australians now living in cars and under bridges and around the likes of Echuca and Shepparton here in north central Victoria. You can see there's like little camps now all over the place of homeless people living there. You got parents trying to send their kids to school out of the back of a car. And the most thing that nobody says here, Dave, is that this is the intention. We sit in Parliament in Canberra, and we've seen a lot of the speeches that have been made by these parasites. And, the Labor Party in particular and the Greens, they sit there and tell us how much they care about people and how much they're trying to fix the homeless problem and make sure that people have their dream of getting a house. These scum lowlifes are actually doing everything they can to destroy that. And they know it. They're just barefaced liars. And the Australian people are starting to wake up to that and throw a bit of weight around. And that's just so far past time when that should have happened. They've just got away with so much for far too long. It's just been unacceptable.
Yeah, and they're still getting away with it, until we all get on this big wave I've spoken about, Wade, and start riding and start surfing wherever we're heading to in mass numbers. You know what I mean? They're going to continue to do it. They do not care.
Yes, absolutely. So we're starting to see the country actually flex a bit of muscle, Dave, and people who are not normally politically active are starting to get active. When we saw some of the horrendous people that we saw on the bridge, Sydney Harbour Bridge there a while ago, you think, we're getting some of these people who are terrorists, they're hardcore terrorists, and they're coming into our country and trying to recruit and stir up trouble here. They're following the Palestinian flag thing. We've had massive problems with the flag in Parliament. The whole thing's a disaster. And no wonder it's starting to bubble away and boil and starting to boil over now. Yeah. And just look at that. I was just saying, look at the controversy. I'm not going to go into it, but with our flags, Wade, someone's just having a crack at you. Wade should learn about that blue. Well, we all know that there's different flags. My granddad, my Raditchabrook granddad flew under the flag that Wade's got there. So I got to hold some respect for the blue flag because my granddad freaking went to fight under it. Do I believe in the red ensign? Yeah, I do, and that's what I fly here. But guys, fighting over flags, really, my granddad, he fought under that flag, so I need to respect that flag. Even though it is a corporate cabal flag, it holds respect because my granddad fucking fought under it. Anyway. Well, every now and again, we get a little bit of flack too for having this blue flag. And for a long time, I flew both. And I reckon Billboard Battalion was probably one of the first organisations to fly both flags at our rallies and our convoys and so on. But at the end of the day, we need to accept that some people like the red ensign, the federal flag. Some people run with the blue one. We will we'll have a red ensign back up in conjunction with the blue one. But at the end of the day, and I've said this to many people.
Not the problem.
Well, I've said this to many people, right? while we're busy trying to, I don't know whether it's argue each other to death or whether some people are trying to just impress the hell out of everybody with their knowledge of history. But what we're running the risk of having is this country will have a new flag, and it will be a pale blue, terrible colour looking thing with a white globe on it. So I would say that, to everybody, with the greatest of respect, stop your crap, grow the hell up, and start fighting for Australia as a team.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, you're going to lose everything, and you're going to look back when this happens and go, what was I actually doing when we should have been standing shoulder to shoulder? We were arguing the point over a red flag or a blue one, while the United Nations and the WEF were in the business of setting up our destruction.
Yeah, and they want you to hold up a white one, guys, and say surrender. That's exactly what they want. You know what I mean? So there's a few flags involved, but flags ain't the topic, and that ain't going to win our friggin' war. So, right, let's get back on it. Well said, Wade. Go, Caz.
Well, this week with the Charlie Kirk murder, what's happened is Joel Jamal over at Turning Point. He was interviewed by Fordham today, and he's had a massive result from that. Let's listen to this.
Tyler Robinson has remained silent during the hearing as he watches on from prison. His crime has sparked conversations around the world, and it's put a spotlight on an organisation called Turning Point, which Charlie Kirk established in 2012. It's got offshoots around the world, and the Australian branch has exploded. In the last week, interest in Turning Point Australia has more than doubled. The group's Facebook following has gone from 100,000 to more than 200,000. They've had more than 30 million views on their social media content. The group's leader, Joel Jamal, says the increased interest has been overwhelming. And to pay tribute to the group's founder, Joel is preparing to head to the US for Charlie Kirk's funeral. Joel Jamal, the head of Turning Point Australia, is on the line. Joel, thanks so much for joining us.
Ben, thank you for having me on.
Did you meet Charlie?
I didn't meet him in person. It was only on Zoom.
And tell me about those encounters you had with him.
Look, he was a very warm fellow. From the top down, he was a great leader, and you could see that by the guys that he surrounded himself with. I spend more time working with those competent people he surrounded himself with, like Tyler Boyer, and those that are in discussions right now about how Turning Point's going to move forward in the future.
It's incredible to go from 100,000 to 250,000 like in a couple of days. It's brilliant.
Yeah, maybe Joel can afford to give me my refund now, and you, Steve, maybe. Who knows? But yeah, maybe they've picked up enough to be able to just fix us up, mate. Only 6 tickets, Joel. When you're right, mate.
So yes, hasn't this really sparked something around the world? And it's very, very interesting to see the reaction and to see Charlie Kirk's wife making her statements and so on. So we're at a very, very serious time, and it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. But it's interesting that at the time of his death, all of a sudden, everything has exploded off the back of that.
Yeah, and what timing. They had to pull something, mate, because, there was supposed to be a big, there was a vote in Parliament on the Epstein stuff in Congress, all right, and that was a 49-51 vote against releasing all the Epstein documents the next day. So, this is all very, very controversial, mate. It's there's a lot going on.
Isn't there? Absolutely. So, I think as time goes by, and one of the things that's a little bit concerning, we're seeing so many things now on social media. Here's the shooter over here on a rooftop. No, here's the shooter. Here's next to him. Here's the shooter who's somewhere else. There's
patsies all around. There's patsies all around, like every Yeah, CIA operation, mate. They got patsies left, right, and centre, all ready to go, and we've seen it again here. But yeah,
Well, and we've also seen some very controversial responses, such as Senator Payman.
What do I think about Charlie Kirk? And obviously his assassination. I think he was a pretty awful person. And he doesn't deserve all the recognition he's getting. So, yeah, the person who assassinated him, like, mate, he's Charlie's being revered as this big, essentially is what I'm trying to say. And, it would have been best to not have him assassinated and for him to remain a footnote in the Trumpian era of the United States. But yeah, so not cool. Yeah, Charlie Kirk got shot and he's RIP. Whatever you want RIP to stand for. Some people will say it's not peace, so fill in the blanks, people. Fill in the blanks.
So you have that.
Get her out the country. Get her out the country.
Well, you've also got this South Australian officer. He's under investigation. So a South Australian police officer is under investigation over social media posts celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder. Now, I'm actually, a free speech. Like, I don't actually think that they should lose anything because that says free speech. But it is a good way of weeding out who people are. And my question would be, is appropriate for somebody who is representing the people to be celebrating a open assassination of a figure or a police officer to be commenting on that in like assassination? Like, what if it was them? We've got 500 men that are hunting down Desi, okay, because he apparently shot 2 of them, right? Oh, but no, don't you dare say anything about that. But, like, I mean, is it appropriate? Like, seriously.
Yeah, well,
go away.
It is always concerning when you see people who hold some kind of office celebrating a murder. I mean, what does that tell you? What message does that send? I mean, we saw, and I'll touch base on the shrine on the 22nd very soon, Dave. But
yeah,
it's very, very dangerous to see people in office who are promoting murder. I mean, I don't know how much worse it gets, but we saw in the US when the Democrats were saying to everybody, go after Republicans, front up to them, get in their face in the shops. If you see them, get in their face and everything. Well, and then you see all the half of the country got burnt down, so on. So I think that this is a shocker, and anybody who would celebrate that just needs to be chucked out of wherever they are.
Look, a lot of people in the US, a lot of big corporations and that are actually standing up, mate. There's a lot of people lost their jobs over there. Actually, it's quite good, man. They all tried to delete that. Well, you can't delete it.
That's different, though. Like, if losing your job over putting something online, that's part of your agreement with how you present yourself as part of the company. That's different. Like, I mean, but the thing is but I'm actually a free speech advocate. I think that, look, let people say what they want to say. That way you can see who the idiots are. So I don't think I actually think I'm more in line with the American Constitution as far as that goes. But anyway, look, we've got a lot of other. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I think the thing about free speech, Caz, is yes, by all means, free speech, but then you have to have the open ability to challenge that.
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah. So I just wanted to give a bit of a shout out for what we're doing next Monday. If that's okay at this minute, or have you got a bit of a different time plan, Caz?
No, you go for it.
Okay, so next Monday here in Victoria is the 22nd of September, which is the fourth anniversary of the shootings by police of unarmed innocent civilians at the Shrine of Remembrance. Now, everybody would remember the horrendous scenes that we saw in Melbourne and throughout Victoria when the terrorist Daniel Andrews, the international Australia hater, sent Victoria Police to attack, not arrest criminals. He sent them to attack the Australian people, and particularly Victoria. And so at the Shrine of Remembrance in Melbourne, for those who don't know, a huge number of protesters were basically rounded up there by Victoria Police. And
UN cops, actually UN cops, but anyway, yeah, Victorian police. Disguised as,
yep. Under the instructions of the criminal Daniel Andrews and the equal criminal, the Chief Commissioner of Police, Shane Patton. And so I, for one, am not going to just let that disappear into the dark halls of history. I think that we need to make this a national day of recognition that this was one day when terrorism came to Victoria in the form of the government and their minions. Now,
and it hasn't left yet. It's just changed shirts and suits, mate. Yep.
So no one's been held accountable.
That's right. And so I think that we need to keep the pressure on that. And for those who might be thinking, oh, this is a bit unfair. Well, Daniel Andrews has been over in China being photographed with some of the worst dictators and murderers in the world. Xi Jinping, you've got the other people there. So we need to understand he is a criminal, as is Shane Patton. And, we need to say to our cops, you people, you got it very, very wrong. You did the wrong thing. And although there are, and I know plenty of cops that do fantastic work and amazing work in keeping the community safe, in going over and above, working overtime for nothing to try and keep people safe. So this is the problem when politics takes ownership and control of police forces. And this has happened all around Australia. So on the 22nd of September, which is next Monday, Billboard Battalion will be going to the Shrine of Remembrance in Melbourne at 1 p.m. and we'll do the same as we did last year. We did a live from the Shrine of Remembrance last year on that date. That was the third anniversary. This one's going to be the fourth, and we need to, turn this into some sort of a national day to understand that we need to fight for our own protection, that democracy hangs by a thread. Your freedoms and your safety are under attack right now. And we heard, Mark Butler, the filthy scumbag minister for creating dead people, the Minister for Health, has said, we will have another pandemic. And they know there's going to be another one because they are the ones creating them.
Yeah.
So for people who think that what we've seen in Melbourne and COVID's over, I think you better think again. And we need to continue to promote this and keep the pressure on to say, any coppers, your families are at risk. They're in the gun as well from the government. So you need to work out whose side you're on, as well as our military, because the RSL at that point criticised the hell out of the protesters. They told lies. Our military leaders in Australia told lies. They criticised the protesters who were victims of crime. And as it turned out, the protesters against lockdowns and then by extension the COVID vaccine poisons, the protesters were proven to be 100% correct. So I just wanted to so let's get that out there. Next September the 22nd, which is Monday. We're not asking for massive, great big protests or anything. That's not what this is about. We want to do a live from the shrine. Dave, I just if anybody wants to come, there's about 50 people came along last year. If anybody wants to come and just be there and support BB and what we're doing, or even just be there as a part of it, I I don't think they want any flags there, Dave. So you've got to understand the RSL Australian flags very, very bad. They don't like them, mate. So maybe you shouldn't bring your Australian flags.
Yeah, maybe bring 6 of them. Anyway.
So
thanks, Wade. Well, I hope that's a success, and yeah, that's a day that should be maybe not celebrated, but definitely remembered and revisited. You know what I mean? Especially for the newcomers to our movement who don't know about these things that have happened, Wade. So yeah, it has to be kept alive, mate.
Well, I think too, Dave, a very, very important thing is I talk to a whole heap of ex-military people, and to attack the Shrine of Remembrance, which is about their sacrifice to keep us safe from tyranny and from terrorist governments and dictators. That's the very shrine to their loss of life and their sacrifice to stop us from that. And the government brought that to that. The police brought that to that. And the scumbags who run the RSL, they also criticised the people for going to the most appropriate place. If you're being attacked by your government, there is no more appropriate place to go than the Shrine of Remembrance.
All bodies on. That's why they attacked you there.
And there's not one person's been held to account yet. You know, they injured our people. I think who was shot? There was Matt Lawson was shot. Michael Craig Griffiths was shot.
A few people. Yeah.
And these rubber bullets, they say, they're only rubber bullets, nothing much to worry about. You know, it's all good. These things can be lethal. And I'm here to tell you that if you walked up to some coppers and you pointed a gun at them that fires only rubber bullets, I'm pretty sure that you would get return fire from lead bullets. And just to close that, I saw screenshots of text messages between some of the cops who were on duty at the shrine, and I believe were there as a part of it, and they were requesting to use live ammunition.
What a joke on the Australian.
So don't make any mistake. This is deadly serious, and we need to keep this in the public eye as we shut this down and never happens again. We need to make sure everybody is against the government, the WHO, the WEF, whoever brings this stuff. We need to make anybody who fires on Australian citizens public enemy number one, because that's what they are.
Exactly. Well said.
They are indeed. You know, and it's of course it's not just Dan Andrews. Now you've got Jacinta Allen. Look at this.
Last night of the new China strategy. It's a 5-year plan to boost Victorian-Chinese engagement, including in the areas of agribusiness, health and science, as well as education.
It's just the Belt and Road revisited.
Yep. You just got to keep pushing the same old narrative. You got one narrative. You know, that's all the playbook's out there. They got to stick to it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we know what it is. Yeah.
Look, I don't know who's done this, but it's brilliant. Enjoy this one.
Oh, yeah. Have a laugh, guys.
Today, I'm announcing our new Backyard Criminalisation Act, a groundbreaking legislation package targeting the dangerous trend of home food production. Our intelligence agencies have identified an alarming rise in food extremism, radical activities like growing vegetables, raising chooks and collecting rainwater without proper government supervision. So effective immediately, all vegetable gardens over 1 square metre will require a personal agriculture permit, costing just $750 annually, plus fees. Gardeners must submit to random soil testing and provide detailed records of every tomato harvested. Our new egg registry program requires all chook owners to register each egg their hens produce within 24 hours. Unregistered eggs will be classified as contraband ovoid products, subject to confiscation and mandatory composting at our centralised government facilities. Most concerning is the rise of seed sharing networks. Our new Seed Transaction Enforcement Division has already infiltrated several of these cells, operating under the suspicious guise of gardening clubs and community gardens. Critics say the people have grown food at home for thousands of years without issue. Well, this kind of historical misinformation and disinformation ignores the dangers of unmonitored nutrition and the threat of citizens developing skills in self-reliance. Remember, proper citizens consume, they don't produce. Leave food production to the experts, massive corporations with the right political connections. You know who they are. Good day, Australia.
It's funny,
just like,
but it's not that far from the truth.
It
That's
is
the worst
the
part
truth.
about it.
Basically, that's what's coming. That's exactly what's coming.
So I don't know if you set that up for me, Caz, but well done if you did, because that's my thing, mate. And I'm here to tell you that everything that bloke said it's not even the whole lot. Yeah. So they are wanting people to start to register gardens. They have in Victoria, they amended the Biosecurity Act in 2022. Federally, they amended the Biosecurity Act in 2015. So I'm here to tell you that part of the plan is literally for them to send authorised officers who will be armed, with police to come out to your place and destroy anything you have in the way of food production or food storage or any commercial. This is only household stuff, or commercial farms, food producers. And if you think I'm a bit off the mark, well, you don't know what you're talking about, first of all. But just look at all the crap that's going on in Queensland with the so-called fire ants. Yeah, they have literally armed police turning up with scumbag saboteurs and poisoning departments, and they're just poisoning everything. And if you try and stop them, you will be arrested. Now, I'm here to tell you that under the Federal Act, if they, and I've had lawyers look at this, if they are under the Federal Act, if there's an emergency, that is exactly what the World Health Organization, international health regulations is set up to do, to make it so that they can claim that climate change is a pandemic, and therefore they can wipe out your farmers, your food supply, and you can face, if authorized officers come to your place under this provision, if you don't help them to destroy your garden or your entire dairy herd or your sheep flock or whatever's going, you can be fined $90,000 and put in jail for 5 years. And some of these lawyers who I'm talking to are saying that you can actually end up a hell of a lot worse, where you leave your property in a body bag. So make no mistake in the world, this stuff is deadly serious, and it's so seriously dangerous. And this is what our politicians are doing. So for all the people who don't think that politics involves them, if they eat food, it involves you, because you're not going to be eating food for much longer.
Right, buddy.
No, we're in a bit of a
they're having a go,
spot,
but they're not going to win. You know, we win. God wins. We're on God's side, so it's all good. But yeah, we're going to go through some pretty hefty struggles. All right, Kazza.
I do like this one with today.
Mr. President.
This is the ABC reporter trying to ask him something. He's going, "We're making a ballroom here over here," and then he ends up going to him, "You're giving us you're big." Yeah, something anyway. I'll bring it in the proper one, but be quiet.
He schooled him. Yeah, he told him they're not very nice down there. You let the people have their free speech. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he told him. Yeah,
I know.
So I don't know whether you saw, but on the Sunday in Bendigo at the CFA protest and the farmer protest, they played a grab, which is allegedly actually Donald Trump responding to what's happening to the Country Fire Authority, responding to this half-wit Albanese and this other parasite of a thing we got in Victoria. So I don't know if it was legitimate in real terms, but it certainly sounded like it.
The AI they've got is pretty good. I've heard a couple of them, and there's been a few that are floating around that are not, but they could. You kind of wish that they were. You go, oh man, I really wish that he had said that. So, all right, look, we're being taken out. This little girl, she has written a song for Charlie Kirk, and it's just way too cute. And so, yeah, we're being taken out by that. But I can't give her any credits because she didn't have a name on it. So, Wade, if you would like to have some final words, and then Dave, if you would like to wrap up and close the show, I'll hit play.
Yeah, beautiful. I think, look, we've seen a massive couple of weeks, or a massive 2 or 3 weeks globally. This is exploding. Allegedly 3 million people in England on the roads now protesting. We're starting to see the world push back. We're starting to see the world flex some muscle. So let's just keep that momentum going, and let's just, for God's sake, I'll use your terminology, Dave. For God's sake, let's just try and get everybody on the same page, going the same direction, fighting against the one enemy, because we do have one specific enemy. It is your governments. It is the WEF, UN, and WHO. So let's just focus on that sort of stuff. That's the most important thing. And always remember, tell the truth in these matters. Are so important to tell the people the truth, no matter how much it upsets them. Lead with the truth.
Couldn't agree more, mate. Exactly right. I could be doing a bit of that tomorrow night anyway, but yeah, it's what we like to do around here. Whack out the truth. So thanks for doing what you're doing down there, Wade. Yeah. And yeah, to the people of Australia, guys, you know, Wade's down there in Canberra, but I can tell you what I'm seeing around is we got a few people that are in there that are really like causing some trouble in there, like, and having a go. You know, I saw another lady today really firing up and defending Pauline Hanson, Lydia, and that, you know, for having their say in there. So they're all bitching and fighting too, guys. So don't forget, when that's happening, all right, they haven't really got their eye on the ball, all right? It's the lobbyists in the background that have. These muppets have got no idea what's really going on, okay? So we're going to see more mistakes, more places for Wade to put a crowbar in down there and start and rip these guys apart, because they can't keep it up. When you know, like I say, when at first, what a wicked web you leave, when at first you do deceive. That's a quote from Norma Graham, guys, all right? What a wicked web we weave, when at first we do deceive. So, again, from Guru, what's the only thing you don't get a second chance at, guys? First impression. Be nice to everybody. Love you guys. See ya.
Hey everyone, I wrote a song about Charlie Kirk passing away yesterday, and the song is called Where He Belongs. Tell me what you think. A man is gone because he spoke his mind. Someone didn't agree, so they crossed the line. They didn't argue, they didn't reply. They just showed up with a gun and let a good man die. Is this what we do when we don't agree? Why people are afraid to speak. He's up in heaven, watching over his wife. The son just one and her daughter 3 in life. The man is gone, but his faith is strong. Standing up there with God and Jesus, where he belongs. God, and he won't come back. The world moves on, something's cracked. He had a voice, he had a name, and now he's gone, and it's not the same. I guess this is what we do when we don't agree. This is why people are afraid to speak. He's up in heaven, watching over his wife. The son just one watching over his wife. But his son just won down and died at 3 in life. A man is gone, but his faith lives strong. He's standing up there with God and Jesus. Oh, he's standing up there with God and Jesus, where he belongs, where he belongs, where he belongs, yeah, where he belongs. Tell me what you think.